Hi, I'm Julie. I'm a food blogger from Eat Well, Explore Often. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to cook lemongrass chicken. Lemongrass is definitely a staple in Vietnamese and Southeast Asian cooking, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Today I'm actually going to show you the option of using a frozen one, but you can also use fresh lemongrass. But frozen's great if you don't cook with lemongrass that much, so that way you can just have it in your fridge and just use it whenever you need to. Start with 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And then 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. I like to use this brand here. There's so many different brands out there, so they'll all be fine. But this is the one that my mom uses at home, which is why I use it. And then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. All right, so we're gonna cut up about 4 cloves of garlic and a little bit of, it's called pearl onions or shallots, basically. If you don't have those, even a regular onion would be fine. It just gives it a little bit extra flavor. So basically we're going to dice up our garlic. I just patted a little bit just so it's easier to get out the little outer layers. And then we want to go ahead and dice everything up just nice and finely. So now you want to peel and cut the shallots as well. Cut them in nice, fine, small pieces as well. The smaller, the better. It'll be better, easier to cook with. So I minced up the 2 little shallots. So that's about 2 tablespoons, maybe slightly less, but you can ballpark everything. And then I did 4 cloves of garlic, which is also about 2 tablespoons of garlic. Then I'm gonna use my lemongrass here. So I'm gonna do about 2 tablespoons of this. So now I'm gonna do about 2 tablespoons of lemongrass. Fresh is always best, but honestly, if you don't have time, the frozen one is also pre-cut. So it's kind of a nice option, and it's in your freezer anytime that you need it. I was able to get some lemongrass. As I mentioned, I use the frozen one all the time, but fresh is always gonna be the best. So this is what the lemongrass looks like. Occasionally I'll just peel 1 or 2 layers off. This one looks pretty good, so I don't really have to peel anything. And then you're gonna use this part of the lemongrass here. This part on the top, you don't cook with. So I'm gonna cut it and you guys can see what it's like. And we're gonna mix everything up in here, and then we're gonna put our chicken breast in here, and then we want to sit for at least 2 hours, or even a little bit more, just to get all the flavors in. All right, so as I said, I'm gonna be using chicken breast tenderloins today. Chicken thighs is the best, but you can really use any cut of meat. You just want to make sure that you make sure it's nice and thin. So you don't really want to get a big fat piece of chicken breast. You want to make sure you either slice it in half or you can pound it a little bit as well. I'm going to cover it and just pound it out a little bit so it's a little bit thinner. All right, so everything's all pounded out here, and then you're gonna make slight little slits into the meat, and that's just really gonna help allow the sauce to kind of get right in there. And so see how nice and thin that is? Now you're gonna add your chicken to the marinade. Make sure you coat each piece really well. Then you're gonna go ahead and marinate it for about an hour. You can put it in your refrigerator. Next is just to prep everything from after you cook your chicken and to have everything ready. So I'm gonna julienne some carrots, cut up some cucumbers, and just get everything else ready. Shred your carrots. You can also just cut them by hand. You don't really have to have this, but it just makes it look a nicer presentation. Next, I'm gonna cut up my tomatoes and cucumbers. I usually use the big American cucumbers, but I happen to just have mini ones today. So again, feel free to use whatever you have, obviously. Really fine cut. All right, so again, just make some small slits like this here. Be very careful not to cut yourself. And then that way your cucumbers are all broken up like this. So they're all nice and small. So now I'm going to be cutting up these green onions. I'm going to cut them nice and finely. I'm going to use it as a garnish on top of the dish at the very end. Now I'm going to cut this tomato into little slices. All right, now, so I have my pan here, and I'm gonna be adding in some oil here. All right, so our pan is getting pretty hot now. I like to do it on kind of a medium high. You don't want the heat to be too high. And this is our meat that we marinated earlier. Cook the chicken on medium-high heat for about 3 to 4 minutes. Check the edges, and once the chicken becomes a little bit more white on the edges and more done, you can go ahead and flip it over. You want to make sure the chicken becomes a nice golden color. Flip it over and then cook the other side for an additional 2 or more minutes. You want to make sure your chicken is cooked thoroughly. Check both sides, make sure it's cooked thoroughly, and then you're done. All right, so now we're gonna arrange our plate, and I'm gonna take one of these chickens here, 1 or 2 pieces. All right, so as you guys can see, I just arranged everything and put down my rice here. You want to put a few scallions on top. It's here. You can go ahead and cut it and put a little extra over here. I also have these fried onions here. You can just buy them at the store, but I usually like to top them off for a little extra crunch, and you want to put in a side of fish sauce for extra flavor. And this is what our final product looks like. So this is a lemongrass chicken and lots of vegetables on the side there.